Hey folks, BlackCross here, and welcome back to another edition of BlackCross Collect Games. So, basically this particular collection comprised mostly of one visit from my recent journey over into Cookeville. As I said, Cookeville is home to two particular retro stores that I personally tend to go to, and this time visit was no different compared to the others that I've been in the previous runs. However, I want to discuss about particular games that I've gotten before that visit. So let's first begin with one game that I recently got, being that of Lollipop Chainsaw. Now remember whenever I told you that technically I could find this cheaper than what was being sold at the flea market that I went to that one time? Found this one for 14 bucks. I knew right off the bat that I could get it cheaper, and I did. I also, because this past week was my birthday, GameStop usually gives out their 20% coupon anytime it's your birthday, and this was a good time to use it on any one new game that it came out that I hadn't gotten yet. Now technically there are two games that are slightly new that are slightly above the $30 price range that I don't have at the moment. One of them being that of Persona 5. Unfortunately, they didn't have that pre-owned, and they still only have it as brand new. They have it pre-owned for PlayStation 3, but I actually wouldn't mind actually getting it for the PS4 instead. That being said, I actually ended up getting Ni no Kuni 2. I don't have the first one yet, but I've got the second one because I figured it still sells for over 50 bucks. With the 20% off, I practically saved 15 bucks overall, so in all honesty, I made a pretty good trade on that one. And then also too, one kind of preference this before I go into actually revealing it, per se. Metal Jesus talked about this game a lot, and he showcased it in his buyer's guide for the PS2, as well as the hidden gems for the PS2, as well as exclusives for the PS2. He's mentioned this multiple times, and then the concept itself sounds so interesting, I could not hesitate. Problem is, it is probably one of the most expensive PS2 titles that I will probably ever want to buy. You want to take a wild guess at what it is? Blood will tell. I decided to finally break down and get this game because honestly, the gameplay mechanics followed by the concept of story sounded too good for me to pass it up. And I've been playing it a little bit because I'm going to be releasing it for my channel as just a regular Let's Play. I have to say, I'm actually enjoying it a lot better than I thought I would. In fact, I don't know if I should be proud of this or if I should be embarrassed of it because of the fact that technically I have never spent more than I think the most expensive one I've got is close to 50 bucks really. Because everything else has either been just the disc itself where it's sold for less than what you would normally get anywhere else. Or for that matter, it just didn't cost over 50 bucks. But this one's the most expensive that I've ever paid for in my collection, and that was 170 bucks. And this game right here, you can't find anywhere else cheaper than 100. And as far as I know, I've never seen it anywhere else. So unless I went to go to a game convention and something like that and found it cheaper then, I'm pretty sure that I don't think I'll ever see a copy of this for a long time. So I was lucky enough to get this one whenever I did. Currently I'm playing it right now, and it is really enjoyable. Now to go ahead and talk about the visit that I recently went through in Cookeville. Now, me and TJ, our birthdays are actually within the same month, which is April. His is on the 12th, mine is on the 25th. And so we usually plan on doing something in that month together and everything. So I decided to put in a vacation day for Friday, and me and him decided to go to Cookeville. Holly went with us, of course, and it was fun. It was nice to hang out with both of them. But within that process, I obtained quite the collection of games from both Game Exchange and Game Haven. Now, in Game Exchange, I've gotten a total of, if you want to count the trilogy, technically 5 games. So in overall, I think I did pretty good for myself. The first one being Valkyrie Profiles 2. TJ was telling me this is a really good game, and I looked at my book, and this was one of the games that I was wanting to get, so I was like, alright then. It's relatively cheap for like 15 bucks. Might as well go ahead and grab it whenever I can. And then, of course, if I can grab this one, here we go. Mobile Light Force 2. The cover itself, Metal Jesus has talked about this a lot in his channel, but the cover itself is the worst part of the game because it has nothing to do with the 3 chicks that are on the cover. Basically, it's a bullet hell game. As you can see in the back right here, I'll try to show this. Basically, it's one of those bullet hellstorm game style of gameplay, and it's like he said that it was actually one of the good ones that he has personally loved in terms of the PS2, but he said that the cover doesn't do it justice, and I have to agree on that one. You could have sworn by looking at the cover that it was basically just a Charlie's Angel ripoff of some kind, but it's not, which is weird. And it was like, I've been wanting to get into that franchise for quite some time, so why not? Not the title itself, but the genre of bullet hellstorms. Problem is, I'm afraid to get into those real intense ones where there's like bullets flying everywhere. I'm afraid to find one that's like that, and once I do, now, of course, I was tied between wanting to get either this or the PlayStation 3 version, but considering the fact that technically this one was actually like, if I had to say, about $12, $13 cheaper than the PlayStation 3 version, I thought to myself, doesn't hurt to go ahead and grab this one, and I'm actually kind of happy that it had the original box that they all come in. And that is the Hitman Trilogy set. Now, if you don't remember, or if you don't know, back in the PS2 age, very few games that had a complete trilogy set came in the collector's box set. And they're not that expensive. They weren't that expensive at the time, of course. At the time that they first came out, you could get these relatively easy, because at the time I had the Devil May Cry series as well as the Metal Gear Solid series with the box and everything. And I wish I didn't trade those in, but because of the fact that the HD re-releases came out, I figured why not, you know? It just makes sense. But in all honesty, I'm kind of glad that I got this one, because I like the little box cover itself. I actually kind of like it. I really do. And plus, I've been wanting to get into the series myself as well because of the Hitman Absolution for the PlayStation 3. Plus, I've heard that it's really good. So, figured why not, right? So, those were games that was in Game Exchange. Now, let's go into Game Haven. Now, Game Haven sometimes doesn't really get a large inventory of games that I've been wanting to get. Sometimes they have like the same stuff that Game Exchange has, and then sometimes I have to kind of go back and forth to see which one is cheaper, because both of them are right now in competition with each other. GameStop is nowhere within that equation because they don't carry retro games. Well, as far as retro game goes, they only got like PlayStation 3, a few Wii titles, and a few Xbox 360. Well, scratch that, a lot of Xbox 360. But that being said, Game Haven, I usually go in there from time to time to see what all I can find, and I did actually find myself a pretty good amount too. Some of them were stuff that I was wanting to get anyway, some of them was interesting stuff, some were like, I mean to expand my collection, so why not, and one actually pretty rare one that I was surprised to see. And thanks to TJ, he actually caught his eye on it. He was like, hey, there's this game right here that you probably missed. And it's like, huh. And even though it didn't have the original case, that doesn't mean anything, because I can always reprint the case later on in time. But I was actually surprised to find this particular game. And that being Shining Force Neo. And a lot of people would know that the Shining Force games are relatively rare on their own. And so to find even the disc itself is pretty hard. But in all honesty, I think to myself, if it's going to be that rare, or even for that matter that's expensive, and you can't find it anywhere else, if you find the disc version, chances are you can probably make the cover yourself, especially since Staples does it. And I've been doing it for like 3 times now, where I've printed my own label with Staples, and they're not that expensive. I think the most expensive I paid is like $2, but that's only because I've printed out like 5 different covers overall. So it's like, in all honesty, it's not that bad. It really isn't. But then, of course, decided to get me Pixel Junk Monster Deluxe. Now, technically, this was available for the PlayStation 3, and I played the hell out of the game. In terms of like Castle Defender genre games, this one is my personal favorite. And I was actually surprised to see that they had a PSP version, and I thought to myself, it's like, well, I love the game enough as it is, and now that I have a physical version for the PSP, and I've been meaning to expand my PSP collection as well, so this is the perfect game to add on to it, I figure. Why not, you know? Now, of course, I've also got another PS2 title, if I can grab it here. I need to give me like a little table here. Actually, I do, I just didn't think to pull it out. But, I've got Defender here for the PS2. And basically, the concept is, imagine a flight simulator game in space, basically. That's the best way for me to explain it. And personally, I kind of like how it looks. And I thought to myself, it's like, if I can find it for a pretty good cheap price, I'll go on ahead and grab this one whenever I can. And this one is actually in fairly good condition too. They had 2 of them. One of them didn't have the cover, but this one did, and it didn't even have a price tag. The guy was like, well, how much is it? I said, well, technically you've got one that doesn't have a cover for $4.99, and I didn't know if they did different slight price variants because of complete or not, and it ranged up as just a regular $4.99, and I was like, that works. So, got this one. Then, of course, I got another Wipeout game, but this one is different. And by different, I mean this one, I didn't even know this particular box exists. And personally, whenever I was looking at it and everything like that, personally, it just, I kind of like it. And that's Wipeout, but it's a box. Yeah, it's a box. Kind of need to fix the inside of it, but yeah, it's basically a box. Nothing special, but it's an unusual one. It's something I don't get to see a lot of. Delmar technically has a box PS1 game as well, and that's Resident Evil 1. And it just, I didn't think I would find these, or much less know these things exist. I just looked at it and I was like, this is unusual. I mean, it's like, it was only like $13-14, so I was like, in all honesty, it's not that bad. It's like, I'm just glad that it's a unique box. It's kind of something that I kind of wish they do more often. You know, not all the time, rather, but just every once in a while, vary it up a bit. You know, make the covers unique. In fact, there's actually a story about something in particular. TJ, when we were at Game & Change, he saw this Spider-Man game that he was wanting to get for a very long time back in the PS2. But the cover was unique. The cover was unique as in that you don't get to see it that often. In fact, anytime you see a game cover case, like actually in its original case and cover and everything like that, you feel tempted to actually want to get it because of the fact that you don't get to see it that often. In fact, I'm actually thinking about wanting to get the Zone of Ender PS2 titles because you just don't see the whole complete set. You don't. You see the disc, and even then you can't find the disc. It's a pretty rare game to find nowadays. And we were at Game Haven, and I saw it, and I thought to myself, it's like, no, I better put that down for the time being right now. I've technically got the HD re-releases, and should one day I end up getting my collection closer and closer to being complete, in terms of like everything that I've been wanting to get, I'll eventually move on to games that I've got HD collection versions of and get the original PS2 versions of. So I mean, because I love the system itself. I think I have to divinely say that I love the PS2. It's my favorite system console of all time. But back to the story at hand. When we were at Game & Change, he saw the Spider-Man cover looking one, and he was wanting to get it. The only problem is they couldn't find the game, which sucked because that was one that he was wanting to get for a very long time, and it was just a unique cover. But TJ played it cool and everything like that. He was like, maybe it's probably best if I didn't grab that one, because honestly, if I did, then I probably wouldn't have a chance to get some of the other games that was at Game Haven, which he got himself a pretty good pile from Game Haven. But I also got me, well, technically not for me, but for Delmar, I got him Epic Mickey Official Strategy Guide, the hardbook edition. And usually Game Haven is really good to have a lot of different strategy guides. That's where I got like my Devil May Cry series and everything like that from. And it's really awesome to see the strategy guides being there. But when I saw Epic Mickey, I thought to myself, I was like, out of all the Epic Mickey things that he has, I don't think he has this. It's like he's got the game, he's got his sequel, he's got the Mickey figure, he's had the stickers from his, I guess, collector's box set or whatever for Epic Mickey. He even had the Epic Mickey figurine that came with it. I got him the Wii Remote Charger, which is basically the Phantom Blot holding the Wii Remote Charge, and Mickey down the very bottom of it. But I don't remember him having the official strategy guide, and I felt bad for calling him to waken him up. But I called him because I could not remember if he had it. So I called him up and I said, do you have Epic Mickey official strategy guide? And he was like, no. I was like, okay, go back to sleep. And then whenever I got home, I showed it to him, and he thought that I bought it for myself. No, I bought it for him. Out of the two of us who love Epic Mickey, he loves it the most. And I'm like, if I see anything like even remotely Epic Mickey-ish, I'm going to give it to him because he loves that game. I want to say it's easily one of his top 5, if not one of his top 10 favorites. Easily. Hands down. Easily can be negotiated. It's like, if I talk to Dayon right now, he will probably say either his top 5 or top 10 favorite games of all times. Easily. So it's like, I saw and I was like, you know what? He doesn't get a lot of stuff, and I don't think he's ever seen this, much less thought about wanting to get it. But honestly, if you have a favorite game, you might as well get the strategy guides. And I wish I still had Kingdom Hearts 1 official strategy guide, because from what I've heard from some people, the 1.5 strategy guide isn't really that good. And it's like, that sucks. But we went to Walgreens. Okay, before we left Cookville to head back home, we had to stop in Walgreens to get us a drink as well to use the bathroom. And what's funny, I didn't think about it, but whenever we went, Holly happened to look through the toy section and everything like that, and they had a couple of pop figures and stuff. And one of them, I looked at it and I was like, I wonder if they have it, but they didn't have it. They had the Anakin Skywalker, the young Anakin Skywalker, mind you, pop figure. And in the back it had like General Grievous and stuff like that from Star Wars Episode 1. And I was like, if they had a General Grievous pop figure on here, I'd buy it. Because, I mean, that one right there alone, just by itself, not with the box, but by itself, for some reason, is asking for a lot of prices. And it's like, if I find it for like less than $20, I'll get it because I love General Grievous. But I don't see myself grabbing that one anytime soon. But that's beside the point. The point is, on the very bottom shelf, they had Kingdom Hearts figures. More specifically, the Diamond Collection series. Now, if you've been following any Kingdom Hearts community content creator, they will tell you that Diamond made these figurines in contribution for the Kingdom Hearts series. Now, technically, there's another corporation that's been doing Kingdom Hearts figures as well. But this one is notorious for doing a terrible job with some of the human faces. And I'll even tell you right now, even Mickey looks a little weird. It's like, I like how Square Enix did perfectly with Mickey's face, but Diamond did terrible. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, there's a reason why that when you go into GameStop, or even for that matter, Hot Topic, you see them on clearance because no one wants to buy them. But this one, I thought to myself, I don't have a Heartless figure. I don't have a Heartless figure at all. So I was like, why not? And I thought to myself, if I can get it just the Heartless figure by itself, I don't care whatsoever. And I wish they had it with the Nobody, but they don't. They just have the 2 Heartlesses. And that being the Shadow and Soldier Heartless. You guys know my personal favorite enemy of Heartless is the Soldier Heartless. And I was like, you know what? I'll go ahead and grab these 2 because that would be pretty cool to have. And I've thought about it too. I thought about it and I was like, you know, if Diamond wanted to just forget about making the human characters and Disney characters, because Square Enix as well as another corporation has got that covered, they can make the Heartless figures. Because, well, let me go ahead and unbox it for you just to get an idea as to how they look too. And honestly, I'm actually kind of surprised. This box is, oh, it's taped. 1 second. The box is actually pretty nice too. I'm not gonna lie on that one. I think I may actually keep this. I mean, oh my gosh, they've got this freaking security. It's like trying to defuse a bomb or something. Okay, so here's the Shadow Heartless. He actually looks really good. Like, I'm not gonna kid you on this one. This is actually very nice. If I didn't know any better, I say that Square Enix Play Arts industry actually took some part in actually helping them design the Heartless. Because, I mean, it looks accurate in terms of like how they're supposed to look. And then here is the Soldier Heartless. All honesty, they done really good with them. Like, they are actually really good. I like them. Wish they would do more Heartlesses. Like, seriously, if they all of a sudden just announced and said, we've received some pretty bad feedback with our human characters because of their faces, but they say the enemy characters are actually pretty cool looking, so we'll just make the Heartlesses. I would collect them because, honestly, you don't see many of them. I know that back when Kingdom Hearts 1 first came out, they had a series of figures, and the only Heartless enemies that they've got was like that of the Soldier Heartless. They had the green and blue bell looking ones. I'm not even going to try to pronounce what they're technically called, because I keep calling them the Berry series because of the fact that one of them is technically called, it spells something like raspberry, but it's not. It's something else, but I can't even remember what the other 3 are called technically. Actually, I think the red one's called Nocturne, or something like that. I can't remember right off the back. But they had like the blue and the green one, and then they had the guard armor. And I don't remember if you could or not, but I think you could actually switch the arms and the head to where he would look like opposite guard armor, which that would have been pretty cool if it still could. But they had those particular Heartless as well as the Bandit and the believe it's called the Air Soldier, technically. They had those, and it's like, those were actually pretty cool. But these right here, they're actually pretty better built. Like, if I'm not gonna lie on it, I think these would be perfect for the Bring Archive versions of Sora and Riku. Because I don't know if you've heard or not, but they recently announced a Bring Art version of Riku. They do not have a Play Arts Kai, but they have a Bring Arts version of Riku. And it's like, in all honesty, had I known they're only making the Bring Arts versions of some of this stuff, I probably would have gotten the Bring Arts version of Kingdom Hearts 3 Sora. But honestly, I'm happy with what I've got. So maybe they might change their mind, make a Play Arts Kai version of Riku, but who knows what happens. But like I said, if they wanted to just announce and say we're just going to make the Heartless versions of these things, I'd be happy. Hell, I'd be even more happy if they're going to work on the bosses. Can you imagine having Kirk Caesar as one of these things? I mean, Kirk Caesar is pretty big, so compared to the Soldier, he'd probably stand out to be about this right here. I would love that, actually. Somebody do that. Somebody do that for Kirk Caesar. Please, somebody. I would... I can't believe I'm actually going to say this. Oh, well, there goes Soldier. Soldier down! But I will pay $100 if someone could make a Kirk Caesar figure. That I would love that. I don't even care if it's made of clay or whatever, just as long as it's like some form of figure form of Kirk Caesar. That would be awesome, and I will pay $100 easily. If I don't have the money, I will later on, but if someone can make that, I will do that. I'm gonna eat my words, aren't I? At any rate, though, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out within the link below in the description for a playlist of the entire BlackCross Collect series. And yeah, let me know of any games that you think I should try to get into, because thanks to people like Metal Jesus, I've been looking through his hidden gems and stuff like that, and I've been getting a lot of ideas of games that I should collect. And because, I mean, I only know so much just by looking at the cover. Because of people like Metal Jesus, where they actually use actual footage within the gameplay, it does a better representation of what the game looks like, and if you're going to enjoy it or not. I think more people should do that, you know? It's like, hey, here's the game, but here's the gameplay in case you're interested in. You know, that's what I feel like it needs to be done. And one of these days, I don't know when, but one of these days, I'm going to eventually play through all of the PlayStation 2 games that I've got in my collection right now, because I would love to do this eventually. This is a goal. It's going to be a long goal, and I guarantee it's probably going to be the epiphany of my channel. But I want to do a top 25, and if I even go to a point of being so insane I've lost my mind, but top 100 PS2 games of all times. Because keep in mind, you've got people who usually use the staple characters like God of War, Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper, Kingdom Hearts, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you've got gems like flipping Blood Will Tell, there's got to be more to the list than most people are willing to go into. And quite frankly, I mean, don't get me wrong. The number one thing that they'll tell you is that they have not played every PS2 game, because there is a large library. And honestly, I've almost been tempted to be like Delmar, where I've wanted to have a complete collection of PS2 games, because it is my favorite console. I've just come to determine that it's my favorite console of all time. You know, the problem is that you look in the library and there are so many fucking sports games. Like seriously, EA released almost every year a new edition of a sports game, and I'm like, I don't like sports. Why would I want a sports game that is made every year and the only difference is the character selection? And it's like, why? But at the same time, I can't be any more judgmental about it, because of the fact that people do love those games. Hell, some of those people actually collect them just because of the fact that they're sports memorabilia, which there's nothing wrong with that. But then you got the generic gamer who usually just throws his old one away and gets the newest version that comes out, which nowadays there's no point because of DLCs and stuff. But that I shouldn't go into that detail. I shouldn't go into that area of gaming, because that's a can of worms I just don't want to open anymore. I don't. I get tired of opening that can, and it never gets interesting. It gets staler and staler every time I open it. Just needs to be thrown away. That's a weird analogy I just did. But anyway, though, let me know in the comments below what you think, and if you can recommend me any games that I haven't got in my collection, I'll be sure to remember that. And hell, if you want me to, which I should probably do something like that, I should probably make a website dedicated for BlackCross game collecting to showcase all of the games that I currently have right now and games that I'm wanting to get. So in other words, if there's a game that you would recommend me to get, you could recommend it to me and stuff like that. I should do something like that. It's just, I hadn't gotten that far in terms of like wanting to do something like that. But at any rate, though, thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video. This is BlackCross signing off. See you later, guys.